That is the question that remains to be answered here. We'll see what that response is here from BLG in this second game. Do they find a little bit of priority given to their solo lanes where mid was banned out heavily? A lot of those roaming mid lanes taken off the table last time. Here we see BLG on the blue side ban away the Scion and that Nautilus that Ming piloted so well last game. The tried and true Kindred ban against Shun by RNG. And we'll see what their second and third bans are going to be.
This does mean you are going to potentially see a cannon coming through unless BLG want to ban that last. Of course, on blue side, you feel like you are less forced to ban some of the
Look at that face.
Very
Look at
powerful
that face.
picks.
He's like, man, you just banned away all my champions, man. Come on, you don't want me at my strongest.
Oh, man. Well, Wukong sadly did not look as strong for Shun in that first game, but he might get himself his hands on his Vi. Wonder if that will be the last pick for RNG. It depends what they want to let slip through. Of course, again, you're going to have one of these big power picks being let through at this point. AD carries aside, stuff like the Zyra and the Zeri, they've typically been traded. It really has been something like that Vi, which is that last ban, which kind of does need to be removed. Again, LPL Vi's are really good, but that means the cannon comes through. LPL cannon has been incredibly powerful even before the recent buffs that came through. Now, there have been some teams and some players in solo queue which have been devising some counters to the cannon. OMG, who of course we'll see in the other Round 2 match, of course in the next match in playoffs, has been playing Victor top into the cannon. We've seen some AD carry tops as well, stuff like Quinn, Lucian, Tristana into that pick as well to bully out the cannon very early, outrange them. However, we have also seen just some, hey, I'm going to lock in a hyper tank. Typically, it's been the Scion that's banned away to nullify that pick. That has had to happen, though, because players like Bin and even Breathe, of course, as well, have been so impactful on this pick. You can't really just try and nullify that matchup more often than not.
Yeah, we saw the impact of the Bin cannon in some of those clips before the series started, but I love this combo from RNG. Way on the Lee Sin, something he is so strong at, something that kind of plays to his strengths as a very strong mechanical jungler. I love it, but they also still have that stability from Annie, right? That Flash Tibbers combo that we saw them execute well in game number 1 is going to be there and even more potent with the Lee Sin. And now I'm looking at BLG, who started off with a strong strength in the Kennen early pick, in nonetheless very interesting in that regard, but they go with the Zeri themselves as their second pick.
Dude, because the thing about Zeri is that all she really needs is someone to give her a little bit of time to work things through, and the cannon ult does that, but the Viego is locked in. We are once again, after all this time, returning back to Lee Sin Viego, the matchup we have seen for so many years at this point. But when this is not just any Lee Sin Viego matchup, it is Shun on a damaging carry champion, and it is way on, of course, the early pressure champion of that Lee Sin as well. So much ability to play around these two champions, and in mid-jungle 2v2 or elsewhere, these guys now in the jungle have a lot of agency.
And I love it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but at this point, Shun was just like, they're going to just ban away everything. I'm throwing off the gloves. I'm going with my bare fists. And we're going to find out who wins this matchup. As, at one point, you just take away all the tools. You have to go to your comforts. You have to go to some carries and find a little bit of strength in that jungle.
See, the thing is, you've kind of just described the opposite champion, though, because he's just picked up the giant two-handed sword
gloves off
against the guy with no gloves on the Lee Sin. For me, I feel like there's a disconnect there. The thing is, when you're picking up this Viego,
you can imagine. All right, imagine.
Yeah.
Use your imagination.
We'll see, because the creativity from BLG in that last game, the thing is, the creativity from BLG in that last game, it didn't leave that much up to the imagination in that late game. They really kind of struggled with the tools that they had in those late game scenarios. Now, heading into this game 2, they do at least have that reset potential. They're not going to have some of Yagao's roaming picks, as you kind of pointed out towards the start of this kind of draft as well. A lot of last draft's second round bans were about roaming mid lane picks. Talia was gone, Galio was gone, I believe Ryze was gone at that point, and now we see that RNG, they've locked away the Lissandra and the Galio. Now maybe Yagao could go into something like the LeBlanc again. We have seen some Ahri Viego popping up a little bit, but of course something like Syndra or LeBlanc again helps you get that single target burst into a reset from that Viego, which can be very, very helpful. You need something to pin people down. You're looking for pick combos at this point. On has been very, very strong on a lot of these hook champions, which have engaged potential. So hovering over that Blitzcrank, it is actually quite legit for him. He struggled on the Rakan in game 1, but again, engage is the name of the game. You're looking to try and get something to pick off enemies so your Viego and your Zeri can start running rampant.
I actually really appreciate this Aphelios for Gala. Again, you look at late game carries and it's synonymous with Gala and the potential to carry that RNG always relied on him for. But BLG, they opt into the Rakan here in the bottom lane with that Zeri, so a little bit of engage, a little bit of peel back available there. But we're still looking at what this final pick, what this support. I guess there's still a little bit of flexibility for RNG, but it's actually the Vygar pick that comes through for Yagao.
So this is a pick which, of course, has come up to prominence in the LPL. We've seen it a little bit in bot lane as well from LWX, but it has been typically something that UCal played a lot of it in the mid lane. Amongst other players as well. Yagao's played the 2 games of it. This will be his 3rd across spring, and now coming into this last pick. It's about that safety. You start seeing that cage forming, Lantern goes down and pulls someone out of danger, and it might help Angel position a lot more aggressively on something like this Annie if they want to step up to the play as well. So BLG, this is a composition that wants to really isolate one target, burst them down, use that cannon to kind of force the enemy team to retreat, and maybe leave someone in their stead as Shun starts resetting on the Viego. On the other side, if you don't pick off that first pick, you have a lot of mobility. You have a lot of ability to catch people out in the front line. I particularly imagine that once again on the Rakan, could have a pretty hard job of trying to find those engages. Last game, it was Ming hooking him with the Nautilus every time that Rakan tried to enter the fight and made his life very, very difficult. It's going to be a lot in execution again. Game 1 execution went in favor of RNG quite heavily, especially when towards that late game because Gala got items. In this game, Shun has a bit more ability to carry. Maybe that changes his role within the team after a quiet game 1. Game 2 has all the tools once again to be a back and forth skirmish teamfight game.
And when we were coming into this one, it was all about performance versus expectations in differing fashions. RNG, the expectations of this team trying to come in here and make a run all the way starting at that round 1. BLG making it to the 2nd round, giving themselves a little bit of breathing room coming into the playoffs, bypassing that first week, that first round rather. But here they are potentially going backs against the walls after this game. They've drafted a comp that brings them to a late game head. They have Shun who can build that bridge on Viego, and they'll have to find a way to get to constructing here as we get into game number 2. RNG versus BLG.
Giles once again bring out across the arena. RNG fought their way out of a mid-game deficit to take game 1. For those,
it's an 8,000 gold swing in game number 1.
It was pretty huge, and it was really off the back of Gala getting big items. Now, in this kind of game, the Aphelios has, you know, a pretty decent job again. Actually, just hold on to that thought, Shun.
He was going to, then he saw
Everyone
away.
is stacked up here.
He got baited though, and this cannot be the way you start off this game, but it is. Wei gets the kill, first blood for RNG.
It's a kill to a Lee Sin as well. They only blow and exhaust in that bot side. So Wei on the Lee Sin is not going to be able to get a recall to buy anything with that gold so far. So at least on first clear and maybe level 3 ganks, Wei will not have any extra stats to show. Shun is still going to be able to get onto his buff. Only looks like 10 seconds just late on his play, which can actually be a significant amount, but it's not like he's been completely shut out of his jungle camps. On the other side, RNG get themselves a bit of a freebie. BLG at least probably know that Wei is starting towards that top side. He's going to get his red buff first. Wei, very interested to see what he does, not just on his first clear, now that he kind of knows he has the timing advantage versus that Viego, but after he gets his first back and gets that gold spec.
It was a very quick level 3 gank in bottom side last game from RNG and from Wei specifically, clearing out early and trying to wrap around. I expect a lot more of that aggressive pathing from the Lee Sin for this time around, the 2nd game. But my question is, man, BLG are putting a lot of faith in their late game here, right? They first picked the Kennen into the matchup here, into RNG, where there was a lot of strength for Ben last game on the Gwen, but it was also opting into rather going the safer approach and finding a more stable comp. They just took, again, the fisticuffs way and went full-on aggression, right? Full-on, Shun getting something comfortable and getting Yagao and Elk to a place to carry.
Yeah, I think I would temper that and say there's a lot of mid-game ability as well, particularly when you have the pick-off potential of Rakan, Veigar, and then Kennen once he hits like 2 items. I think they have some ability to play around those spikes as well, but yes, the later the game goes on, You can very much burst out those carries on the other side. It does kind of, it's not like it plateaus completely after that point. RNG.
Elk saying, I want a Gala moment too, okay?
Yeah.
Or I guess it's more of a Zeri moment at that point.
Let's be honest, most AD carries would be pretty happy with a Gala moment, given that he's, walked away with another set of pentakills this split, been a really strong carry for his team. And, Gala is a player that historically in the LPL has been looked up to now as one of those kind of in the halls of greatness. And the LPL has had an awful lot of good AD carries. Gala is fairly highly ranking amongst them.
On is just eating those death sentences so far early on.
It's a death
Ming
paragraph.
on point. Yeah, at that point. A couple of different goings of back and forth, but RNG keeping a lot of presence there. And I like that you were kind of talking a little bit about that, because it is interesting as Gala's kind of story to get to this point, right? He feels like he's been on RNG for so long, but it took a while to get to RNG, right? It came in summer in 2020, and it's been a moment where, like, for me, I have that Sheen call, the Gala. Like, I hear that in my dreams, because this man is incredible when you give him those moments to step up, right? When you have these moments where ADC is so particularly strong in the meta, and you can rely on Gala to be there.
Yeah. The way that I've viewed Gala for such a long time is that if you don't end the fight, if you don't start the fight with killing Gala, he's likely going to end it by killing you. He is so good at kind of judging when to reinitiate a fight, judging things halfway through a 5v5 and saying, actually, now's my time, which is why, of course, something like the Zeri or the Kai'Sa, which can reposition so well, has been very, very important to him. Of course, the Aphelios has less ability to do that, but has plenty of turnaround with the ult. Weighs on vision towards his top side as we talk about, of course, the opposite side of the map is the one that is on screen. Wei does, of course, get himself to an early Iron Spike Whip, which is much more expensive than something like the first back Sheen from Shen. It also allows you to add in, of course, an extra AD ratio into your kit. Very important for Lee Sin. He'll be building towards an early Gore Drinker. And that will be, if we get any more gold coming in towards Wei, if he gets himself another kill, something like that, fairly important to track. A lot of the time, people talk about kills going over to junglers or to supports as kind of annoying, you don't really want it. But given how powerful mythic items are and the first couple of items of the game, if you're able to use that power spike well, get to play around that, an early Gore Drinker or something of the like, can have value. Speaking of that, Shen trying to finally get himself involved in the game, besides just that first death of it. Getting some vision. And once again, it looks like we are trying to set up for wards. It is the optician gameplay. Who's seeing better at this point?
And so far, it was RNG who are looking to take away some of the vision against BLG, but maybe a little bit of early 2v2 here with Rome now bringing more members in. The Dark Passage is available for a way to get out. Here comes Elk over the wall with that Ultra Shock Laser. BLG snuff out RNG's vision game. They should be able to turn around onto this Dragon.
Doesn't matter what iterations there is in, that hop over the wall can be so difficult to factor in once you go in towards these more skirmishy plays. Although she is a late game teamfight monstrosity, the fact that she can join those plays so quickly makes it very difficult to play around these big terrain, wall-ridden fights. Wei is going to come back down. Angel has level 6, has flash as well, but he's getting collapsed on.
He is. That Event Horizon actually coming out to try to make something happen, but not able to find the distance. The rest of RNG coming in here to support, and we've literally just had a consistent, 3v3, 4v4 here hovering over this, even though that objective had already gone down to BLG.
BLG looking to see if they can fish for a fight. Potentially, there we go.
Trouble. Beautiful flash on as well. Gets that huge engage. Event Horizon hits. I don't know if they have the damage just yet, though. The Graviton from Gala used nicely to delay BLG's re-engage. And BLG are looking spicy. They are putting out their feelers to try to get something going.
Yeah, you can see the CC chain that they do have to bring to bear. Despite them not getting kills, they do get both summoners away from Gala, and they get both summoners away from Ming as well. So a lot of the safety, a lot of the disengaged play from RNG will not be available. Maybe if it comes around a Herald fight, there's a Flash ultimate, which you now can't exhaust from the cannon. Watch out for that in the next few minutes, and that will, of course, be the next objective of the game. Game 1, there was a trade between Dragon and Herald. BLG, on the defensive side of things, delayed the Dragon take from RNG early enough that they could get that Herald. Heading into the second game, RNG not able to do so, so we might actually see fights around both sides of these objectives, but BLG, you can see again how powerful they are, and once they start getting their first kind of CC chains in play.
And I definitely need to see Shun get some resources on this Viego early on. I feel like always the potential for the resets in team fights, of course. But if you don't have a little bit of strength on Viego, you don't have that presence of mind, right, going into a lot of these fights. And I think that's going to be interesting for BLG to approach. And they're going towards bot lane. The hook lands on a Shun, bringing Ming a little bit closer to the jaws of BLG. There's a big Chakra multi, Moonlight Vigil from Gala. He's trying to get down some damage here, but he's all by his lonesome. He's just getting dragged out as Elk picks up a kill, so does Shun.
The Summoner's Blown lead to RNG's untimely demise in that 2v2. Gala, Ming, they pick the Aphelios Thresh. Very strong lane, very strong ability to play around 2v2, but not when you fall into a 2v3 without the tools to fight. BLG, they could have maybe headed towards this top side. As we were saying, hey, there's no exhaust on Ming. You've got that cannon with that flash. Maybe they can head towards that. They head towards bot lane first. They call the bluff. Even though Herald has spawned, they find themselves a gap in that time. And now they still get to return to this, and Wei stunned.
Oh my goodness. A little bit of damage given back to Bin's old jungler in a way. We'll see if things can go a little bit differently as we prepare for 3v3, maybe a little bit of a 4v4, I guess, in the end.
Surely you can't take this fight. They're looking for a steal. You can't go into a cannon with flash. I think he's trying to find it.
Oh, no, not going to go for it. The Dark Passage was there ready to go. They have that really sick mobility combo here with RNG as well.
Yeah, it doesn't really work when you go, like, I don't know whether you've worked in events management, but the Event Horizon is a particularly special one of that, where you don't really get to move anywhere. It's not the most fun part ever, but wherever he jumps in for that, you go straight into the cage and immediately dies. So really well played from BLG. And you can see the threat which RNG have to look at there. Even though you don't see them commit towards that fight, they can't. You don't have the exhaust. There's a cannon with flash, and you don't have flash on someone like Gala or Ming. You can already see what that meant for them before this, as they find an extra little goodie bag when they go for that fishing.
That's such an unfortunate hook. It's like, oh,
it is
man.
like, oh. No, once again, it's like, oh. So I guess you're wondering how I got here. No plans, no flash for Gala as well. Just goes, well, guess we'll try again next time. And now suddenly, Elk has himself the gold this time around. Gala was supercharged, superpowered in that last game, and Elk didn't really get the chance to play it out. This time, Elk has the gold, Gala on the other end of that.
And now looking back on the map, Shun having this Ripped Herald, very interested to see where he wants to put this gold. We just keep opting into Elk again. Elk has been the pillar of BLG when you're looking for late game carry, right? When you're looking for carrying out of the bot lane from ADC, Elk has been incredible in that fashion, right? Even last year, he was the brightest point for me on Ultra Prime. He was that moment where if Ultra Prime had any hope in any game, it was through Elk carrying. And I think we've seen him come into his own this year on BLG and step up in a fashion that I feel like has been a long time coming.
And no better time for BLG, of course, going up against such a historic organization as RNG with so many players which have had such high amounts of success before. You need your own star performances. LPL is never short of them. Oh, that's a hook around the minions. Not going to be followed up on, especially into that minion wave. But again, being showing he's on point still.
He just keeps connecting the death sentences. We do have another dragon coming up on the board, and both junglers already positioning around this way. I expect Shun to use some of this aggression here. He does have a little bit of a level advantage over Wei. He's going to take a 1v1 skirmish, and I love this back and forth, but the Heartbreakers come down. Oh. The flash missed by Shun, but it was Wei who flashed over thinking he was going to follow up. Nothing comes through, but Summoner spells burn, and these junglers feeling feisty, Nymera.
That they are. First item was completed. Yagao used the spellbook Ignite. Well, tries the ult as well.
On
Angel.
the grand entrance, there he comes. He doesn't really have the damage. The flash from Yagao's like, I need that kill. As the charge comes through, get a couple plates of gold over to Shun, and BLG pounce.
And just before this dragon spawned, RNG's mid-jungle get caught out in their own side of the map. They get caught out in their own lanes. BLG finally getting themselves, compared to last game as well, some ability to move out onto the map. It has felt like, despite Elk and Bin having their own mid and late game successes, a lot of the early game has, of course, been through Shun and Yagao when they get ahead of the game. Yagao coming in, of course, as still reigning champion of the LPL from JDG last year. Shun with his own kind of reputation to his name as well as an aggressive forward foot jungler as well. In this game, getting some value. They're going to get themselves every objective of the game so far. They've dropped one kill. Besides that, RNG, they've not taken towers, they've not taken dragons, they've not taken heralds. BLG, compared to the first game, getting an awful lot of a stronger foothold in game 2.
Really good start off here and good collapse. I think On really a crucial piece to this one. An Angel flashing, but it's a little too late. Wei can't really do anything from just over the wall. And it's just good capitalization. Then you get that charge off, you get a couple plates, a little bit of pressure for BLG from mid lane. And they have stacked up so far in this early game, just under a 2,000 gold lead 13 minutes in.
Yeah. Speaking of those stacks on the Rod of Ages, stacks on the passive of Veigar coming through as well. Getting ahead on Veigar and getting to be able to hit your lane opponent helps an awful lot. They spot them out with the blue trinket, timely so.
That was actually really huge from Elk. Stays helping out his teammates here, Nymera.
We like that. We like the positivity here. Both these teams, of course, have played towards their larger team fights as well. The power of friendship seeing through in the fighting fights. On. Not going to get stunned out right now. Angel didn't have that stun ready and available just yet. RNG, they were caught out individually just before, looking to seek safety in numbers at this point now. Dragon, of course, not spawned just yet. I think these fights are mainly just to get that vision line a little higher up. Elk is trying to walk forward, use his shield bow completion to just harass RNG, see what he can get out there. But RNG, they've kind of failed at their own vision foray. They have no vision in this side of the map. Angel, he's in a lot of danger. Like, if you ever get caught near a change now, you're in so much trouble.
Oh, no. He doesn't have flash. He has tippers. Maybe it dissuades the follow-up. Here comes the Gravitum, though, as Ming trying to lock him down. Gets the flash. Doesn't hit that play, though. That was really quick maneuvering from Elk to get out of that engage. RNG tried to pull the trigger on bot side. Is On in a little bit of trouble. How's the rest of BLG coming down here, though?
Yeah, that was the attempted cross map from RNG. You have the Gravitum. Of course, one of the strongest things about Aphelios Thresh is that when you get that binding eclipse, the active of the Gravitum, it's a root. It means that the hook from Thresh is basically point and click. We have got a big fight brewing towards bot side.
It's just constant,
BLG,
man.
No way is here. Wei could kick someone back into the waiting arms of his bot lane.
This has literally just been constant. It has been Shun and Wei looking for little ins with help from Ming and On and find a little bit of vision to play around. I love it. Even though we don't have this explosive game so far, it still has been both junglers trying to mind game each other.
Yeah, we're specializing in a bit of espionage here, trying to get past the information lines of both teams, get past those wards, get into somewhere a little more dangerous.
He waited so long.
Has been behind enemy lines for a full minute. He's got the kick. Elk has no flash.
Here comes, it's a 3v3 though. Shun is right here. You have Roams coming from mid lane. He has been here for so long, and BLG have no idea. They have no idea. They're going to collapse onto Ming. Ming's getting low. That kick comes through on a 2. Shun finds one reset, though. And the Moonlight Vigil comes across. That's a big Infernum onto the AoE, but Shun has now gotten his resets. He connects onto Gala. And here comes the slicing Maelstrom from BLG. As they take yet another fight. An Angel has sacrificed his life as he will just lead his way out, try to find the yellow brick road, but there won't be one. As actually by picking out BLG, leave him alone. But it is what BLG have taken from RNG, and it's almost everything.
It does look like Angel gets out, but Shun gets the Thresh, steals the death sentence, writes a letter with it, and returns it to sender. Gala has once again just been sat there, watching the first kill go down and going, what do I do after this point? He gets caught and has to flash out, has to cleanse. He at least gets himself an ability to kind of buy his ultimate across the play, across the
I love that Shun waits. He waited to take the soul.
Yeah, he does, because he sat there saying, hey, let's just wait till he walks up again. When you are playing against Viego, you need to be aware that resets are often more valuable, particularly in the early game, based off of how strong your basic abilities are. Thresh has some of the strongest basic abilities in the game. As we said, that sentence coming in clutch in a number of skirmishes when Ming has been the first to die so far.
And what a wake-up of a response from BLG. Again, we kind of talked a little bit about it. There were 2 ways to respond to the way that Game 1 went. You can play more reserved. You can get a little bit of stability. You can try to find a way to stabilize things and get back into the series. Or you take the fisticuffs off and you just punch them bare-knuckle boxing style. And I feel like that's what we're getting from BLG. And they're getting their composition coming together now 17 minutes in.
You know the meme of like, there are 2 wolves inside of you. Yeah, there are, and both of them are off of vision trying to do some crazy play behind enemy lines. Let's see what they can do this one. Wei, once again, in the enemy jungle, this time has been spotted. He's not up from any vision, so this is another one coming to join the wolf pack as he takes the Raptors. Herald goes down in the mid lane. Angel has flash and ult. Now, he is not on vision. We've not seen him really make the biggest impact so far. He's not able to get a play onto mid lane as BLG summoned the Herald in there. BLG, decent gold advantage, good amount of power spikes being played around right now. There's no exhaust right now for Ming, in case Bin finds himself an ult angle. He doesn't have himself flash to get the best value out of that though. BLG first into River. RNG needs to be careful of being split.
That will be a little bit of an engage whiff from BLG. Actually, they collapse on a breathe. He goes over the wall. The event horizon is gone, but you still have so many ultis available. RNG start up the dragon here. They look to try to burn it. They have so many chakras. Flash comes down with the timbers, and they find the Moonlight Vigil. Yagao is down, and BLG should leave this one. On goes in. Here comes Bin with the slicing maelstrom, and that's a 3-man stun, but he can't get the damage down just yet, and it's turning around for RNG. Here comes Shun with the Heartbreaker, but he ain't breaking anybody's hearts just yet. As Elk is trying to gun them down, but he gets stunned up. RNG realize they can't put up any more fights, but Wei wants to try to steal the dragon. Can they get back in? Brain goes for the flash play, can't hit it, but Wei is onto the dragon. Shun gets the reset of the dragon's aggro here. 3,500 health, and
Teleport's
BLG
coming back
don't
in.
want to give up
Look
the
at
fight. They're coming on the backside here, Nymera. They will take this dragon. This is third dragon of BLG, and they fight the good fight.
So, that fight is almost entirely determined by the exhaust coming off of cooldown by the time Bin looks for his engage. He gets onto the bot lane of Gala and Ming, because On manages to find his engage onto them, but it just takes a little while too long. The first pick comes in.
Decisiveness from Angel.
Which he's kind of suffered from throughout the first game and a half so far. Big moment from him, but the decisiveness gets turned right back around onto them. And as we said, because the fight takes a little while to come out into fruition, Bin on the cannon, it's the scourge of cannons everywhere. Gets exhausted, doesn't do nearly as much damage as he would have done. Could have been a fight-ending play at that point, but the exhaust is gone now. Flash is going to be potentially up by the next time. Actually, we'll see if there's an overlap there. There might be a window for a cannon ult with flash against no exhaust on the other side. But now, soul point for BLG, RNG falling behind even further in gold.
Something that terrifies me, though, Elk went pretty much untouched in that entire fight. We saw what happens when Gala goes untouched on this area. What can Elk do with it? Now, Slicing Maelstrom has been back up. They got a little bit of CC on the Angel, but it's not going to be enough to take a kill down. And RNG pick off the side lane. BLG are taking the Baron.
Yeah, Angel has TP, so he can reach the top side of the map. You see that Breathe and Wei are heading up towards that. This is not the most damage ever.
There's a dark passage.
They're trying to get up with all of the mobility they've got. They will be able to contest this just about, even if it's on the retreat.
BLG trying to burn it down. Event Horizon, they go way over hand, but there goes the Baron. Here comes Gala as try to find the Moonlight Vigil. Can't do it. Heartbreaker over the wall from Shun. On finds his way out, just barely the Empowered Recall.
The Empowered Recall?
He wants to try to get out, but no. He goes back. Oh my God, what a menace! What a menace! Oh, what a sweet escape!
Every single one of his brain cells was needed for that. He completely breaks Wei's ankles in the fog of war, gets out, and BLG, they lose Bin on the side lane, but he does enough damage to force 3 people to respond to him. BLG very quick on the other side, and RNG, for all that they could in game 1, put BLG into awkward positions around the mid-game fights, the late-game fights. They can't do nearly the same here. BLG looks so much more comfortable in game 2.
They really do, and it just feels like the composition has come alive for them. Started off with a first pick cannon. I was scratching my head a little bit on that one, but it is working out so far. Ben looking so darn good on the setup champion for the rest of the team, but it's about execution for the rest of it, and BLG need to always have their ears above them, because as we said, there are wolves on both sides of these teams, and RNG are looking hungry.
Wei taking a decent chunk is going to get the Lantern out. Things to pay attention to the next time. Of course, BLG, they are very firmly across the river now. They're into the enemy side of the map, and RNG do not have vision across the other side from them. Maybe they can wait for Wei to get down some vision if he goes on one of his scouting missions.
It's
once
two
again.
towers for Yagao.
2 towers for Yagao, as you're rightly saying, who's hit 2 items, is going to get a lot more gold in pocket. But that's the fight, that's the kick.
That's a big engage for Wei, but it goes a little bit wide. That kick not going to be useful. Now BLG with the tools can look for a re-engage.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of an overforce. I know you're trying to look for that play, but trying to kill this Zeri, who has so much kiting ability. Phantom Dancer is there to be able to get more move speed, to kite backwards, to get out of maybe some of these lower range carries. And now without that flash, without that kick, they just have to wait and watch their base start to crumble.
And they can use this spacing so well that Event Horizon from Yagao just separates them to be able to take down that tower. That's another tier 2 that falls in favor of BLG, and they find themselves at this 6,000 gold lead. With the Soul coming up in a minute, with item completions coming up across the board, you've got 2 items pretty much for everyone now, and that's going to be a strong team fight potential for BLG as you see that kick.
Yeah, it obviously kicks in the cannon, and the cannon, of course, did have that flash, would have been fighting into an exhaust at that point. You know, funnily enough, I saw that when you've got 2 kind of carries with the yellow bar underneath their name and they're both electric type champions, like I kind of look at them and go, huh, kind of Zeri. I kind of thought they were the same thing in that brief replays. It caught me a little bit off guard, but with that said, still no kick, still no flash rather to combo up with that kick. Wei would have to get a little bit more creative with his pathing to get himself at that point. Maybe finds himself out bin, but does not spot him on that ward. Dragon's coming up in 20 seconds. Soul for BLG. RNG, they're first into River and they have themselves some vision right now. But as Veigar comes in, these picks are going to become much, much more deadly from BLG. They have such a gold advantage.
5-man represent from Bilibili Gaming on this Soul fight. You're looking for a flank for Ben. You're looking for man marking for RNG. You're trying to find this red-white glorious fight for Gala. He can get something going. They do see Ben on the side, but they have started up the Dragon here. On looking for a help with the flank for Ben. Event Horizon has gone down. 6,000 health on the Dragon. It does reset for that aggro. And Gala just has that Caliber. As now On is coming in. The Moonlight Vigil goes through. The Dragon secured by Angel, but they've got to get out of this fight. As Shook finds a reset. Ben gets the slicing maelstrom, and Elf goes over the wall. Gala is no more. And BLG, they might have lost the Dragon, but they took everything else from RNG. That should be another chase down, but that's at least 3 members of RNG gunned down.
The Dragon went down to 1 HP, but that's more to be said than for the 4 members of RNG that hit 0, go to the gray screen, and potentially pushes through to a first BLG win of this series and, of course, of their playoffs run, however long that might be. Game 2 has looked so much more clean and comfortable from BLG. It's not been about Elk being shut down. He is set of 5, 1, and 5, chasing down the fight. This is the Elk we were prepared to see, and the one that RNG tried so desperately to shut down in that first game, and successfully did so.
Yeah.
But RNG now looking like they're very, very much going to be headed towards a loss in this one, especially after so many bad grouped-up team fights back-to-back.
Again, the brightest point of Ultra Prime all last year. It felt like Elk has come into his own on this BLG would-be super team and has made himself such a pillar in these fights. And you see a lot of the in-game from RNG, a lot of the focus was in that Dragon Pit initially, but then it goes under shut. You still got a free-firing Elk this entire time.
You do, because there are way too many threats to take care of at this point. You can see that Breathe at the very start of that fight. He uses his body slam before On gets to use his combo, so On just kind of flashes beyond him, gets to the point where he can get onto those turrets. Breathe, speaking of him, he has to teleport out, gets himself an objective bounty, teleports right to the other side of the map and says, nope, I'm going on holiday, going towards top lane, gonna get myself another wave up there. Because that's all you can do at this point. RNG, they're playing a bit of smoke and mirrors, trying to catch BLG off guard, but they've never really at this point, besides the one attempt onto Bin under bot lane tower, been able to catch BLG away from their 5-man formation with the Veigar cages buying whole swathes of the map for them. RNG, a really difficult situation to try and pick off BLG before they get everyone in the right place.
I'm interested here as well, since we have our second items really being completed here, at least third item for Elk now as well, which is terrifying for the Zeri. But yeah, we have the full AP combo coming out from RNG's mid and top, and I can appreciate that, but it also comes with an extra little step up to the bar of execution, it feels like. And I'm really looking forward to seeing RNG try to take apart these fights, because they do have a lot of spacing tools. They do have a lot of catch-out tools, right? And while we haven't seen it come to fruition just yet, and maybe we won't see it happen anymore, as Wei has found himself in a sticky situation, and there ain't getting out of that. He's walking around like molasses as Yagao picks up a second kill.
So who would win? A champion with like 3 dashes or 1 page and the blast code? Turns out it goes to the hands of Yagao. Absolutely mashes way into his own jungle. No smite this time, nothing from spellbooks, nothing at that point. RNG watching this go down, looking for a miracle steal at best.
AP, Moonlight Vigil, okay, goes wide. Oh, it's not going to go through. Smite secured from Chun, and Ben is fun on the flank! Oh no! As the beautiful TP flank from Ben sets up 2 more kills for BLG.
LPL cannon hits different. Ben teleports into the enemy jungle behind enemy lines, just like we've seen so many players try to in this game, but Bin makes one of the best attempts at that in this game. And now with Baron, with members dead from RNG, they should be heading towards their first Nexus destruction of the series.
Bin sitting there stinging, you're going to miss me when I'm gone, as he is set up so beautifully in the second game. Couldn't carry on the Gwyn in game one after getting all those resources, but you give him the Kennen first pick, and he'll carry all day long. As BLG wiped the floor with RNG, game number 2, we have a series on our hands, and we're going to game 3.
You just had to say it, but we do. It's competitive. We'll be at least having 4 games. Will not be a sweep. And particularly in that game 2, you gotta feel like BLG showed a lot of stuff that RNG just did not look comfortable with. Shun gets himself onto a damaging champion, picks up that Viego. He looks a lot more part of that game. Bin picks up that cannon. Now that was banned on red side by BLG in that first game. I think you understand why at this point. When you have a cannon player in this region, champion is busted. You have to have these